This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
Yo, what's up, 24/7 Buff Fandemonium? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 16 of the K-Gun Report. Tonight, you're in for a treat. It's like a Sunday Sessions throwback. Me and Scooter McGooter hitting this with a double team. We're talking about free agency and what it's going to look like in 2023 and 2024. And we got a couple little fun lists and rankings, things to do. And, of course, whatever you guys want to talk about. Absolutely. We got Patrick Hughes, who, by the way, was like the Fandemonium fan of the week, saying, "Crack them beers, boys, and let's go." I agree.
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
What's going on, everybody? Go ahead, do it.
Cracking it.
Nice. My name is Swank. I am your host for tonight's K-Gun Report. And right here, next to me, this way. See, it's all screwed up now. Jarrod's not here. I got my buddy, Scott Reed, right over here. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, what's up, Fandemonium? What's up, Mafia? Welcome to the K-Gun Report. Can't wait to get this thing started.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Who we got here, man? Ton of people. Got our boy Josh Williams saying, hey, let's go Buffalo. Hell yeah. We got John Johns. We got Nate Lilly. There's also the perception that he's not a great run defender, but when you have a deep defender like this, dinging him for that is very much like complaining because you can't tow anything with your Lamborghini. Scott was reading this to me while we were getting ready to go. We got Uncle James saying K-Gun shotgun time. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We got Mary Jane Brown Hughes. What's up, Mary Jane? She looks like kind of a new person, yeah? Person?
Welcome to the newbies. Welcome.
We got Daniel saying, all right, made it to the show. Hope the wife you don't get too mad, LOL. It's our anniversary today. 11 years strong. Happy anniversary, Daniel.
Happy anniversary, Daniel.
I'm sure the missus will be very happy that you took her to the K-Gun Report for your anniversary. It'd be very good. We got Paulette. How's it going, Paulette? She says she's back from Argentina now, ready for the Buffalo Bills season. Let's go. Yeah, hell yeah. You were in Argentina? What was up with that? That's awesome.
Don't cry for me.
Yo, we got this guy, Buffalo Spartan.
This is Sparta.
Oh, hell yeah. What's up, brother? We got Rob Mullen. How's it going, buddy?
What's up, Rob?
We got Berto over on the tubes saying, hey, guys, go Bills. Is this haircut week? I'm going to tell you something. It's haircut week for me, but I can't believe that Scott dared to shave his face down. I guess he's got a junior prom to go to, but...
Well, vacation actually officially started for me today. We're going down to South Carolina and the Murrells Inlet, which is going to be fun. I'm going with Jarrod and his family. My family's going, so it should be a good time. But what I do, because all that sun, is I shave my face so I don't have the white tan line. So got to
if you never shaved, nobody would ever see that anyway.
I know, but every once in a while, got to do it.
I know, me too. I feel you. Oh, we got a lot of well wishes going to our boy Dan. Hey, I saw real quick before we popped on, Josh Williams did this really cool thing, and he shared around the stream right when it went live, and I appreciate it. We got a little update saying that. That is one of those things that you can do to support us that takes like 3 seconds, and if it's not a bother, please share it around, tell your friends. We have a great time here, as you guys well know. And, man, we're excited to be here. What do you got going on? Anything Billsy related news? Anything?
I got some news related to the FLX Mafia shirts. The orders are actually in. We're just waiting for our guy to say, hey guys, they're ready to be picked up. I think there's been a lot of confusion as of late about
we put the order in. The orders aren't in. We put the
order
in. Yeah.
We put the order in.
Yes.
So we're just waiting. Sometimes it's a weight gain. And I think there was a bit confusion. We do pre-orders because a lot of times we get some of the bigger sizes and people need to specifically order those sizes. It's not like you can go online, order the shirt, and one is delivered. We do it bulk. That's why we do it the way we do. And, the orders have been placed. We're just waiting for the go-ahead. And then when they're in, we'll ship them right out to you. And we'll keep you guys updated.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. Patrick Hughes says, and here I thought Scott lost a bet, LOL. That transitions perfectly into this thing. Patrick Hughes, Fandemonium Fan Profile of the Week. Patrick's been around. He's one of the OGs, been here forever, constantly supporting and watching and hanging and participating on the page and during the live stream. Obviously, one of the dudes that makes me laugh on the regular. Thank you so much for your support, man. And I don't know, this is a really cool thing that we came up with, and Scott kind of spearheads the images and helping pick who's where when. So go ahead, Scotty, give us a little something. How can I become a Fandemonium Fan Profile of the Week?
Well, just like our past participants, you participate in the show. You're active on our page. We have 2 pages, 24/7 Buff Fandemonium. We actually have a page for each one of our shows, 24/7 the K-Gun Report, and we have Sunday sessions, which will return on Sundays. We're thinking preseason. We're going to have a Sunday sessions with Ryan Thomas. But you're active on our page. You're active on our show, and you participate, and that's what gets you on there. We appreciate it. We love the participation. Everyone that's been on it so far every Sunday has been a great contributor to our page, and we absolutely love it, and deservingly so. They're being recognized.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, this is our way of saying thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
And giving you guys a little shine, you know? And actually, you can nominate people for it too. We get the final vote, so that's it. But you can nominate people. That's cool. We'll take it. Patrick says he's here just so he doesn't get fined.
I'm here so I don't get fined. Love it. Love it.
So there's a couple things that I saw, I guess, somewhat slow newsworthy. There's been a lot of quotes from Jordan Poyer popping up lately. I don't know if you guys have seen this the last couple days. One of the big things that he said was that he can't see himself anywhere else but Buffalo, so that's huge news. And also that they've got the best quarterback in the league, and he wants to chase a ring with Josh. So I think it's funny because I saw that posted a couple places, a couple different quotes. Obviously, he must have done at least one interview, if not two, and said all this stuff. And it's all stuff that we pretty much wanted to believe and know. But I don't hear like a lot of football news networks pushing that narrative out there. I think it's not sexy that Jordan wants to stay in Buffalo. There's no conspiracy. There's no BS. It's just he wants to be here, and he's not afraid to tell people that he wants to be here. So there's no real scandalous story with that, So.
Which we all know the media is all about. I mean, when you look at what Jordan Poyer did last year and signed that 2-year extension, the media wants to play it as he's got one more year left in his contract. I've heard people even talk about holding out. This guy's not going to hold out. I honestly don't believe you don't sign a 2-year contract, $19 million, and play 1 year and hold out the next. No. What I believe is Jordan Poyer wants a longevity. He wants the Bills to commit to him for a long period of time, whether it's 2 or 3 more years. I don't think the money's going to be there, and I don't think that's what Jordan's asking for, although he does have a hell of a agent. But yeah, I mean, they don't want to share that kind of news. They just want everybody. They want to create kind of like a little tension and wreak havoc on the fans just so they get reaction. It's all clickbait. But like I said, the 2-year contract signing, his wife getting involved. Of course, the spouse is going to encourage their husband or wife to make as much money as you can. It's just all, I think Jordan Poyer, he showed up to camp, he's practicing. He's playing this year. I just think you need to start talking about it. You need to bring it to an attention, and something will get done. I believe something will get done.
I agree, man. Patrick Hughes says, I was never worried about Poyer. He knows Brandon Beane will take care of him. We take care of our guys. I agree with that. There's, for some reason, Rob, I see your comment, man, but it's not popping up on the screen to share it, but I want to read it. Regarding Poyer, we aren't obligated to renew every contract when a player lives up to that new contract. That's absolutely right, man. Like, as much as we love him and we want him here, the Bills don't have to do anything. Like, we're just lucky that right now the front office and the city and the ownership are in a spot where there's good people there. Like, there's really good people that want to honor and breed and promote from within and do all that stuff. And the reality of the Poyer contract is he's getting towards the later end of his career, and we all know it. But he's still got time left. I mean, best season of his career last year, right? I mean, he takes care of himself. He wants to play. So yeah, as real as those words are, I mean, that's the reality balloon being popped right there. Rob Mullen saying, it's a business. We don't have to. But we all want to.
Yeah, so. We all want to. And the Bills have some backup just in case something. I can see this plan going through. I could see them signing him to a contract extension. But there's a guy by the name of Damar Hamlin that they drafted a couple years ago who I believe can fill that void. Swank, he's definitely a guy that can come in the box and play defense. You'll definitely see him get a few more reps this year, I believe. But I think he could fulfill Poyer's position if, God forbid, they don't re-sign him. And he's got Hyde next door for another year to kind of mentor him into that Poyer role. The thing that the Buffalo Bills have is they have that hybrid style safety. There's a strong safety. Yes, the guy is usually bigger, covers the tight ends and running backs, sometimes comes down in the box. And then there's a free safety who tends to be a little faster, can cover the receivers if they have to. But Poyer and Hyde are both kind of a hybrid. They can play both. So, when you try to figure out what kind of contracts we're looking at, you look at free safeties and strong safeties. They can be a little bit of both. And as far as Poyer goes, I mean, DeMar Hamlin can probably take his position and succeed after a couple of years. He won't be a Poyer, but these contracts that all these new guys have signed and make it like the 11, 12, $15 million, they all signed their contracts at the age of 25, 26. Poyer's not going to have that opportunity to make double-digit $1 million. I don't think he'll get up there, but I think it's longevity for him.
Yeah. Yeah, all great points, man. I was actually looking into Joe Hayden's scenario right now, because I still think that, Bean's going to bring in some veteran backup or somebody to compete or somebody to chill and teach. And I like Joe Hayden. I did see statistically he had the worst passer rating against of his career last year, and it was right around 100. So that wasn't too cool. But, the Steelers were kind of a dumpster fire last year. Who knows? I think in this scheme you'd probably do well. Especially, there just seems to be a lot of help.
Yep.
Also, I think we'll probably talking about Tremaine Edmonds at some point tonight. With again, if you're tuning in, we're talking about free agency decisions that the Bills are going to have to make here coming up in the next year. We've dipped into it a little bit here and there, but we really haven't focused in on it. So we thought that would be a fun topic to approach. And Locked On Bills had a really good, in-depth whole episode about Tremaine Edmonds last week. I think it was last Friday. Joe over there aired it, and it was really good. I was mowing the lawn listening to it, being like, yeah, like I get it. So we can talk about that a little bit later. But getting into this free agency stuff, Paul Rossi's worried about when the contract year for the three of us are going to come into play, and might need to stagger our salaries to keep us long term. So I don't know, but I think Scott and I are vying for the biggest contract right now because, Jarrod, he's a good player. He can't stay healthy and stay on the field all the time. He's got his injury problems.
Best ability is availability,
yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's been to most voluntary workouts, but, there's family issues and stuff like that to come up. And, nah, he's all good. We miss him. He was really excited to come on. He always gets bummed out when stuff gets squirreled around. But, hey, man, that's kind of like the mantra we live by. Family comes first, and we got some stuff that needs to be sorted out. And boy's handling his business right now. So
I think he's got some last minute packing for the trip that we're starting off tomorrow. So that happens.
Yeah, he's got a whole army of kids over there too. So
he sure does. Swank. So that was one of the things on WGR they were talking about is what players in 2023. I mean, we have a handful of players that are their contracts are up. And what I saw on SpotRec, I go to SpotRec a lot, guys. A lot of the references will come from SpotRec.com. SpotTrack is, there's a lot of people whose contracts are coming up, but there's a few huge names like the Jordan Poyers, Tremaine Edmonds. Obviously, he's exercising his 5th year, and he, depending on how he does this year, the guy's made Pro Bowls. We don't know what his worth is. Dawson Knox is another guy, and we saw what Bean was able to do as far as bring a lot more people back this year than we thought he was. And with 60 people on the active roster in 2023, there's not a lot of people we have to bring in, but there are a lot of people we should re-sign and reconstruct their contracts. If you were to choose between Poyer, Edmonds, and Dawson Knox, pick 2 of them. Who would you pick? Tough.
It's really tough, man. I think when you're looking at the team and where their slight needs are, I don't know. I'll tell you that podcast I was talking about really shines a lot of light for me on Tremaine Edmonds, and I actually think that they have him in the best spot that he could possibly be in for their defense. There's a lot of talk about, like, if he left this team, that is the biggest fear. And I want people at home to realize this. Lady Bills will be happy to hear this. The fear is that he leaves this scheme and he shows out and is an animal in anybody else's scheme except for this defense. And the reason is because Tremaine Edmonds creates all of those scenarios that allow a lot of the secondary players to make plays, allow a lot of the linemen to create the pressure that they're doing. He's such a physical freak of a specimen. The measurables, the quickness, the arm length. He's just an athlete through and through, and he's super young. They were saying, Joe was saying on that podcast that he's literally the only linebacker that can fake a pressure and get in the spot that the quarterback think it's safe to throw to. Like, he's fast enough and athletic enough to fake the blitz and drop back in coverage and still, like, cover that gap. And that is huge. Like, that, I mean, he's not a little guy, you know, like, and there's not a whole lot of linebackers that can do that. So I think there's a lot of, like, misinformation maybe because, like, people don't understand how this defense runs, and that really he is the key pin for, like, a lot of this. And he doesn't get the flashy stats and numbers. He still did have a lot of tackles. I know people say they don't care about linebacker tackles, whatever. I say they matter a little, you know, enough. But it's a whole different deal. I think without him, you don't see this defense look the same as it does. And if you pull him out of it and you put him anywhere else, I think that all of a sudden he's Tremaine Edmonds, not just like, oh, Tremaine, you know. And please look at some video. I encourage you guys to go check out that, like, listen to that podcast that Joe Marino did, man. I think it's on YouTube too. And I don't care about pushing other people's stuff. It's good content and it's quality. We're all trying to carve out our own little piece of the island here, little slice of pie. But that dude knows what he's talking about, and it was super interesting. And if you weren't a Tremaine Edmonds believer, you at least empathize with the fact that the dude is doing, like, 3 jobs at once every single down. So,
Right. And he is. I mean, it's the little things. That length. Matt Milano wouldn't be the pass coverer he is without Edmonds making sure that there isn't someone completing a post in the middle that's 15 yards downfield where he can't reach out and knock the ball down. So a lot of these players benefit off what Tremaine Edmonds can do. Yes, he over pursues. Yes, sometimes it doesn't seem like he gets his body turned instead of squaring up. And that's one of those things that I think if he just watches his own film now, he's old enough, he's matured enough. Watch what you're doing wrong and fix those problems now, because everything else is falling into place. Mark Maddox can vouch for that. He's mentioned that. He's been on the show a bunch of times, and he's mentioned that, you know, if he gets a little stronger, a little wiser, you know, it's the sky's the limit for him. But when I think about this that question I proposed to you there, Swank, the Knox situation, right?
Yeah.
We got to figure out who would you bring back? Knox, there's no backup right now for Knox other than Quentin Morris, who's on the roster, and Jalen Weidermeyer, who guys aren't even on the starting roster, not even last year, contract until 2024. OJ Howard signed a 1-year deal. Tommy Sweeney signed his contract ends in 2023. So if you got rid of Dawson Knox, there's a hole. Same thing goes with Tremaine Edmonds. The backup middle linebacker right now for Tremaine Edmonds is Tyler Matevich. And I don't see him being a starter in the NFL. So, you know me, I like to do mock drafts and all that stuff. It's one of my favorite times of the year. There is talent there in the first round, and tight ends and safeties and middle linebackers don't go very often that high. But without already having a plan for Tremaine Edmonds' backup, that kind of tells me that they have a plan to bring him back next year. And I'll go back to the Poyer thing. With DeMar Hamlin already being there, that potentially could be the casualty. It'll be interesting to see. It'll definitely be interesting to see.
I think like it's an interesting debate, right? And I think like we've had little talks about like those 3 guys plus like Ed Oliver too. You know what I mean? We don't want to see any of these guys go. And I'll tell you what, man, I think Bean has proven these last 2 off seasons when they thought that they were going to have to scratch the whole roster, like a big chunk of these dudes. Nobody thought he was going to re-sign Milano. Nobody thought Feliciano was going to get re-signed. Nobody thought, there's a lot of these dudes that, like, there's no way they're getting this done. One of these guys is going to become a free agent, and they don't. Bacher, Bates, all that stuff. I think there's a way to get them all, and I think if there is a way, he'll find it. I think what's going to come down to is these guys' personalities and what they really want. Mm-hmm. I'm in agreement that I don't think Knox is one of those rare talents that I don't think you can let him go. I think he's going to be a crucial target. And this, again, guys, you got to realize, and I'm sure you do, this season dictates a lot of this stuff. If one of these dudes comes out and they take a big step back, or there's like a very obvious problem, it'll be a real easy question to answer. Yep. But Knox, the trajectory that he's on right now, I mean, he can be like a Kelsey, like caliber kind of tight end. And like you're saying, you just don't have that on the roster, and you haven't had that on the roster. I think, like, you need a guy like that. I also think all of these dudes we're talking about, personality-wise, yeah, Poyer wants to get paid. They all want to get paid. There's a piece of them that want to be there. Obviously, they all want to be in Buffalo. None of them want to leave. A lot of people were talking about Njoku's contract that the idiot Browns like oversigned for him and paid too much for him, and he's unproven, and he's not the caliber tight end that Dawson Knox is. But I don't think that Dawson Knox is going to command that kind of money. I think it's going to be close. I'm not saying he's, I think what Njoku's got like 10, 12 mil a year, something like that. I think he's 12 mil a year right now. And I think you can see Knox coming in around 10, but wanting the years. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of stuff that can play out with it, man. And it's frustrating, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's nerve-wracking, and whatever. I'd say just be glad we got the team we got moving forward for this year. And if you get a ring, a lot of things get forgotten and forgiven.
Yep, it does. It does, because no one's asking who's making how much money when they're holding up that trophy.
Yeah.
Ever. So,
real fast here. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to do that little thing that I was teasing to you there earlier. I saw this cool little post. I'll say cool. Pro Football Focus put it out, so who knows how cool it is. But
it's content, right?
Yeah, there's this thing, and I thought it would be fun that between you, because I already know the answers, between you and the Fandemonium out here, there was this graphic. They had the 10 top teams with the most wins in the last 5 seasons. So collectively, the most wins. And I was wondering if we could name them all.
I think I have a good feeling about 4 of them.
Okay. Who do you got for number 1? Most winning team. You got an idea for that in the last 5 seasons?
Chiefs.
Oh, look at you.
Is that right?
Well,
say none of this is most.
Yes, sir. It is right there. 60 wins in the last 5 seasons.
Well, shit. So that's 12 games, 12 wins a season.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. No, I just figured they were there because they made the Super Bowl, then the AFC champions. So, and they're always having that first week bye. So I just figured that was them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 4 more.
You got? Well, 9 more, but yeah.
9 more.
You said you got.
Are we doing top
more.
10 or top 5?
Top 10.
Okay. Packers.
The Packers
They
are
have
on this list. They're number 5.
Oh, okay. Holy cow. I thought they would be number 2. Rams.
The Rams are on this list. They are number 3.
Okay. Drew Brees just retired last year, so Saints.
Number 2. Look at you, dude. You're killing it right there. He's got the top 3. 1, 2, 3. Chiefs, Saints, Rams. Can you get number 4 so I can expose 4 and 5? So while you're thinking,
Who did I pick?
you have Chiefs, number 1, 60 games in the last 5 seasons. Saints, number 2, 58 wins in the last 5 seasons.
Is it 58? Holy cow. Okay.
Rams, 55 in the last 5 seasons. Number 4, you're waiting for, but they have 53 wins. Number 5, the Packers.
Ravens?
52. No, the Ravens are on this list. They are number 6.
Okay. The Seahawks?
The Seahawks are also on this list, I believe. They are number 10 at 49.
Okay. Are the Bills in there?
The Bills are on this list, sir. That's right.
There you go.
You hear that? You hear that out there, everybody? Number 9 with 49 wins in the last 5 seasons. That's a Buffalo Bills. All right, so hold on. Number 4. It's the same theory that you got as Breeze, man. Breeze retired last year, blah, blah, blah. This guy didn't retire, but he moved on.
Patriots.
Patriots, number 4 with 53.
Okay.
So really fast with that.
This is tough.
Yeah, right? It's a fun time, though. So the Bills have 49 wins in the last 5 seasons. The Patriots have 53, man. That's 4 off. Like, we haven't had that kind of a stat or that kind of comparison in a long time. So to put that in perspective, man, 4 games off in the last 5 years. The Patriots have only won 4 more games, and that's with Brady. Now you got Captain Josh and Macaroni and Jones over there. I think that maybe we'll even this out a little bit. Let's see.
Other than last year was kind of a bust. I think the Steelers would be higher on the list, but the Pittsburgh Steelers should be there too.
Pittsburgh Steelers are number 7, sir, with 51 wins.
Okay, and King Henry and his Titans are probably there.
They are number 8 with 50 wins. You're killing this right now, and that's the whole thing right there, buddy. You got every single
10?
one. That's 10. Chiefs, Saints, Rams, Patriots, Packers, Ravens, Steelers, Titans, Bills, Seahawks. Seahawks actually came in tied with the Bills at 49 wins.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Teams like, I would have guessed the Chargers, but that was something new. The success has been fairly new.
Yeah, and they've like tanked, kind of like in pivotal moments, or they'll have winning seasons, but barely. You know what I mean? There's a couple teams that I was kind of surprised were on here. The Seahawks kind of like are that team for me because I think, like Russell Wilson was amazing, but have they really done a whole crazy amount, like in the last couple of years? I think
no, but if you get 12, 13, 14 wins in the first 3 of those years and the last 2 are 7, 8, 9 years, then that evens out. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, look at the Bills. I mean, that first season they didn't have, that was the 9-7 year, right? That they squeaked into the playoffs, and then the next year they had a losing season with Josh as a rookie, and then winning seasons after that. So.
Yep. I like these kind of little games.
Yeah, man. I thought it would be fun to do. We got Tony Benamino. What's up, Tony? I saw him this weekend at the fireworks at Sodas Point.
Oh, nice.
We got Jarrod Reed saying, hey. Hey, you're supposed to be on this show, buddy.
He's got packing to do.
Get to packing. All right.
So, Swank, want me to run down the list of the contracts that expire 2023? Yes. We talked about Jordan Poyer. Case Keenum contract expires. Of course, they traded him, so he's finishing off his 3rd year. Tremaine Edmonds, we talked about. Cody Ford. A lot of people say this is his make or break season. A lot of people think he's a dumpster fire, but with Cromer coming in, there's a lot of change that could potentially happen. And Cromer has a tendency to use players and use their best attributes as a weapon. So who knows what's going to happen to Cody Ford? He's still on the roster, which is crazy to me, and I think they should keep him at guard. Medikovic, we talked about. Roger Saffold signed a one-year deal. Matt Hawk, his contract ends, but I think he'll be done at the end of before the season even starts.
Yeah,
because of football guy. Jordan Phillips, Devin Singletary. Now that is a topic. That is a topic we could talk about for a couple minutes if you want to, Swing. Yeah. Devin Singletary, do the Bills? He signed that rookie contract, 4 years, $4 million. It's obviously awesome to have a running back on your roster that costs less than $1 million a year. Is he worth bring him back? Or is James Cook kind of the mend until his contract ends with Zach Moss having his last year next year? Or is this something that the Buffalo Bills are just going to draft every couple of years just to keep a running back on the roster? What do you think? Is Devin Singletary someone that they're going to bring back, or the Bills strategically taking running backs every couple of years just so they don't have to?
I think I think he's worth bringing back. I think he's solid. I think he's done everything they've asked him to do. I think, the line in the beginning part of last year was more the problem than Devin Singletary. I'll stand on that hill and die on it. I don't think that he's bad. And I also don't think that they're going to invest heavily on like a stud running back. And they've kind of proven that over the last couple of years, I think. And of course, you're waiting for Josh to develop and turn into what he is. And I don't think they'd say no. And you hear all these rumors about them being in on Saquon Barkley, them being in on McCaffrey, all that stuff. Who knows how much of that's smoke and how much of it's not. Brandon Beane also said that he wasn't going in for a big free agent splash this year. And he did. So
he kind of did.
He kind of did. There's this guy named Vaughn on our team now. But I think, like, for me, Devin's solid. I mean, he's healthy. I think that he can do everything that Cook can't, and Cook, like, they're different backs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Devin Singletary's not catching balls out of the backfield, and, he's not, like, so slippery. But he gets things done. Like, he moves piles when he needs to. You wouldn't think that little short shit would be able to move piles. You wouldn't think that he'd be able to score. I mean, that was like the thing that got Beane's attention in the first place, was all those touchdowns that he scored in college. Like, they didn't care that they were in a lower division school. It was like, to have the stats that he had, you have to be something special. You can't.
And the number one at broken tackles.
Exactly. So, to me, man, yeah, I think the most important thing is he won't demand a lot of money, and he's not going to go anywhere else and get a ton of money. Right. He knows the scheme, he knows the system, he knows the guys. I think he's good for the locker room. He's real upbeat on the sidelines. We always joke around. He gets hit and he's got springs in his feet and like, hey, yeah, guys, hey, jumping around. Like, I don't know. I don't think that it's a bad thing to keep him. If they're gonna get rid of him, they better have a plan. I know Beane is a genius at drafting everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you're going to try and do that and draft like a big stud, then fine. But I don't think you want to put a bunch of draft stock into that either. Do you want to get, you wouldn't have to go the first round. That's what these last couple of drafts have proven. But to get anybody better than what we have in like Cook or something, like that's the next step, right? Like you'd have to get like that swing for the fences, number one first round running back. And I just don't think, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. I think we got what we need.
I think we're in a day and age now where you're not going to spend millions on running backs anymore. The McCaffreys, Elliott's, Kamara's, Dalvin Cook's, Henry's, Nick Chubb. Singletary knows he's not in that style offense. Bills fans know that that's not how Singletary will ever be used here in Buffalo, ever. He won't be a 300. He won't even be a 250 carries or 200 carries a year type of running back. So those guys are making $12.5 million a year easy. I think that's done. I don't think we'll see that for a long time now, especially since these wide receivers are making $30 million a year. But I think he deserves it. I think you can see he's on the last year of his contract, making that big chunk of money is $2.5 million a year. He's going to get a little taste of that. And I do believe that's probably what the Bills are going to offer him. You like that 2.5? We'll give you 2.5 every year for the next 3 years to stay with us and guarantee it a couple of years down the road. I think that'll be something that Singletary, look how hard he's working for the $850 million or $850,000 he made last year.
Yeah.
He knows, he's humbled. He knows he fits the scheme. He knows that in 3 years after this, he'll be also signing another contract because he doesn't get the carries. He doesn't get worn down like a lot of these other running backs get. So sign him for 3 more years next year for $7.5 million, guarantee it somewhere. I think he'll be happy with that.
Name, I'm over the track. Yeah, I said it, but you need.
That was an assist from Patrick Hughes.
Thanks, Patrick.
I will call it. Singletary will have himself a big year this year. Yeah, I said it.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. I think there's this trend with fans and whatever, media people, podcasters, whatever you want to say, that there's always something better out there. And it is the NFL, and yes, there is. But there's a couple factors you got to consider when you're thinking about it. You know, money's being the number one thing on that list. And I think, like I said, man, you get good production, dudes. You know, he'll carry the team on his back if he has to. You know, luckily he just doesn't have to. And I think that's one of the big things that need to get figured out with Dorsey. There is, what is this running game going to look like? What are we really doing? If you get enough production, enough more production out of that, this team is going to be completely unstoppable.
Yep.
You know, so
you mentioned it last week. Can you imagine calling any kind of offense you want, any time that you want? Yeah. This offensive line is revamped. Our offensive rushing linemen are better than they were last year. That's just a fact. Saffold made the Pro Bowl strictly because of his run blocking. And it'll definitely be interesting. But yeah, Singletary will get his touches. And yeah, how are they going to use them? Mm-hmm. Jarrod said 5 yards a carry. And I agree with him. So it should be very interesting to see what goes on this year as far as the run game goes.
Yeah. I think nobody can deny, like, that he's got heart and he plays well, and when he's in, he does what he needs to. Like, has he ever messed up really bad? You know,
he had to drop in the playoff game against the Chiefs 2 years ago. People are going to knock him for that, but he did catch 40 out of 50 passes last year, so his catch percentage is pretty amazing.
I think he's just one of those dudes that goes by the wayside because you got so many other players and stars, and it's really exciting that Josh is where he's at. You know, so like, yeah, well, yeah, that running back, whatever. You know what I mean? But, all right, who else? What else we got? What are we doing? What else? Go ahead.
What else? We got the scary 2024 season. And guys, the reason we're talking about this is there's been a lot of chatter about Poyer. And he's obviously showed up to camp. He's practicing. I've heard a lot of stuff saying that he potentially is going to hold out until he gets the contract he wants. I don't think it's the case. I think it's a longevity thing for him, not the amount of money, but he just wants to stay in Buffalo, and he's expressed that. But 2024 also brings a big year for free agency. And one of the questions I have for you, Swank, I brought it up with the 2023 season, the 2024 season, you got to keep a couple. Keep two of these guys. Okay. Ed Oliver, Micah Hyde, AJ Epinesa, Gabe Davis. Keep two of them.
Gabe, Ed.
Right. So there goes Micah. And I threw AJ Epinesa in there because the Bills did get Russo and Basham, and they've obviously brought in some veterans. But, yeah, his rookie contract will be due then. And those are three big names, Oliver, Micah Hyde, and Gabe Davis. Fandemonium, what do you think? Who would you keep out of those guys? Ed Oliver, quickly becoming one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL.
Yeah.
Quickly. And you surround him with talent, he's going to be something crazy. Micah Hyde, I think, falls in the same situation as Jordan Poyer does. I think he's a longevity guy. He wants to be someone that wants to make sure that he can retire a Buffalo Bill. And at age 35, 36, you give him another 3 years, $15 million of $5 million a year guaranteed. I think that's all they want. They know that they're at the opposite side of 30. They're not going to sign these contracts that these 25, 26, 27-year-olds are signing. Yes, they are the number one duo, but they're the number one duo because they do pair together well. Individually, who knows how they'll be, but they're a group. And if you can get two safeties to stay together for the next 2 to 3 years, just to guarantee that they will retire as Buffalo Bills, I think that's what they're looking for, to be honest with you. I do. I really do. And Ed Oliver's a must. That is a must.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're preaching about, drafting, developing, keeping players, Ed is like one of those dudes that's at the top of your list where you're like, he had a breakout year last year and it was quiet. Mm-hmm. And I'll bring up this nice little comment from our boy, Mr. Ryan Thomas from the Thomas Takes Sports podcast and Sunday sessions right here during all football games Sundays. Ed Oliver is about to break out this year. Von Miller will help Ed. Absolutely, man. I mean, I think that Ed's there, pieces that you've put around him are so crucial right now, and he's just gonna eat this year. I think the star opt-out year forced him to use some of his skills or get into like positions that he wasn't super comfortable with, and it might have looked bad at the time, but I think it was very good for him. I think he's grown immensely, and I think now you got all the other DTs. We've been through this list a million times. The other DTs, the defensive ends, like, it's going to be nuts, and he's going to come out on fire, man. I don't see you stopping him, and I think if he puts a couple splash plays on top of the results that he had last year, it's over. You're paying that, man. You're paying him big.
You are. I think by time his contract is up, a top 5 defensive tackle will easily be making $25 to $30 million a year. Aaron Donald's there now at 31.6. DeForest Buckner's the next guy at 21, but I think a couple more years, like I said. And let's not forget, guys, we're talking a lot of money here, bringing in people, but we've got the cap space that I believe potentially with his TV deals and then catching back up from the COVID thing, I think it's going to go up $15 to $20 million a year for the next couple of years. So by the time the 2024 season is up, our cap went from 208 to potentially about the 250 mark. So they're already paying Josh Allen. They've already figured those numbers out. So they're going to have to start making splashes with some of these guys that are defensive tackle. And Ed Oliver, I think, will be making a $20-25 million a year after his contract is up.
Yeah, he'll deserve it. We'll see. We'll see if he sticks around. I hope he does, man. Like I said.
And then Gabe Davis might be actually making. We see wide receivers signing big contracts now, 20 plus, almost $30 million. Gabe Davis as a number 2 in this style offense will be pushing about $20 million. I honestly believe that. I mean, look what they're paying Christian Kirk and Zay Jones over in Jacksonville. That's crazy money. And I think Gabriel Davis has already shown more potential and more statistically better stats than those guys have combined. So, yeah, Gabe Davis is going to be asking for a pretty penny, especially if he puts up the numbers that we think he can this year.
Yeah. We got Ryan Thomas saying, I have one area of this team that does concern me upon looking at the depth chart. Lack of depth behind Poyer, Hyde at safety. Thoughts?
Hey, I mentioned it before. Hyde. They have Josh Thomas, Jaquan Johnson, a guy from Miami that was Miami, Florida college. The U drafted a while ago, who I thought would have been a potential seeing some pretty good reps. The guy's a ball hawk. He always has been. He's a special teamer's ace. The defense won't be the same if Jaquan Johnson and Damar Hamlin were back there, but I think they'd be a pretty good safety duo, especially with Trey White and Kyer Elam back there. So, I could say Poyer's backup probably can do it, and Hamlin. Jaquan Johnson, maybe, but both of those gone, Poyer and Hyde gone at the same time. That would be tough for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think like the contracts were staggered on purpose like that, right? So that like if one left, the other one would be there and maybe could coach the other kids along. I think Hamlin, the Bills do a really good job of like sneaking these dudes in for reps and, putting them in there and you don't even know they're in, right? Like I think Dane Jackson got sneaky reps before last year, and there was a couple great stops he had down on the goal line, stuff like that. And then he came in when Trey got hurt, and, he quietly, again, had a great, I thought a great end of the season. I mean, they're still the number 1 defense, ranking all the way through, getting to the playoffs. Obviously we want Trey White in there, and they made some pretty serious moves that was very telling of the way they want to play at corner. Moving forward. But, I think Hamlin, he's got those kind of reps too. I just don't think that they're going to show you where they're at. If he was ready to take over, I think he'd take over whether, you know what I mean? Whether Poyer was there or not. Like if they thought he was the better football player, he's in. But obviously not. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you got a couple, a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro or whatever, well, I guess 1 All-Pro, right? 2 All-Pros? Yeah. I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, it's an area I think they could definitely address. I'm personally still looking for a little more corner help going into training camp. Talking about Joe Hayden at the beginning of the show, Ryan. I don't know. But what do you guys think about the safety depth on the team right now? Ramo says, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Ed had a legit 2021 season, but he has to be as consistent and not just flashy with the new additions to the DL. I think that's a fair point.
I think it's a fair point. And I think with what the Buffalo Bills did as far as free agency, bringing in Daquan Jones and Tim Settle, I don't think that Tech 1 position will be missed or inconsistent, like having to depend on Star Latulier. When he wasn't there, Ed wasn't himself. Now you have Settle and Jones that if one of them's not there, you still have a decent Tech 1 where Ed can, regardless of who's playing that Tech, he's playing Tech 3. Regardless who's playing that Tech 1, it'll be a consistent spot where Ed Oliver can play that Tech 3 and kick ass doing it. I think the Bills understood that when Ed has to play that Tech 3 like he's been doing, he's better. So stack up that Tech 1 position and make sure that that's a pretty reliable, consistent position for Ed.
Hell yeah. It's pretty crazy to think, like, with all the additions and everything they've done to the line this year, that they were still the first ranked defense last year, and now they've gotten better.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. It's crazy.
It's nuts.
I keep forgetting to say Jordan Phillips. You know, he's also a huge presence in the middle. I think Tim Settle and Jordan Phillips can play both 1 and 3. So this defense is going to be rotating, and they're going to be dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Who else we got here? It's AJ Epinesa, if we're talking about D-line here. And we're going to try and end on time tonight, guys. So no quadruple overtime. I mean, we've talked about it on the show. This is a huge year for AJ. He's got to show something, right? Like, I mean, this is it as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I know he signed through, but roster spots are important as well.
Yep.
I really hope it clicks for him this year. I think he's shown really good flashes. I still think, you know, the puppy leg analogy, running through stuff, his legs are going faster than his head and that kind of thing. But what do we think is AJ Epinesa's future on this team if he doesn't do what we think? Or if he just has another mediocre year.
Right. Unfortunately, you trade him and get something a later round, a 5th, a 6th, a 7th to see if you can't get something for him. But, you know, we've said it every year, Swank. I think this is the year where Epinesa finally, he's got Von Miller teaching him. He's got another year under his belt. Remember, last year was his first year. He's actually played under the weight they wanted. And the conditioning that he wanted. A lot of these players that come in have to drop 30, 40 pounds and learn a different type of defensive end position. It can take him a little while. So I think Epinesa, he was all over the place last year. We saw it, and he created some key plays. But I think this year you'll see more consistency, and with an effective rotation and Russo and Basham and now Von Miller, I think those guys are going to hype each other up, and they're all going to try to one-up each other. And I think Epinesa is going to kind of be able to control that a lot better. I mean, college is a whole different story, but you look at Epinesa's college years, sophomore to junior, to his last year, he progressed. And there's a reason why potentially he could have been a first-round draft pick the year he was drafted. He's got what it takes. Sometimes it just takes people a little more to develop.
Yeah, I love his story. I love the video from their interview when they were drafting him, before they drafted him. I think he's that underdog story. He's that dude that everybody in Buffalo is rooting for. And it just needs to click. Something needs to happen. And like you said, I think personally, like with Vaughn there, that's the best thing that can happen for him. But you got Boogie coming in looking like a beast, looking right. You got Greg coming in, you know, after having a great rookie year, you know, looking like a beast, ready.
Yep.
All these dudes are chomping at the bit. You added depth at the line, and now your opportunities are like so crucial. Like if he doesn't go in there and blow shit up, right off the bat, make the most out of every opportunity. I think even if he does elevate a little, it's not going to be enough. Because I think, we talked about Boogie last year before he played. He was like one of the most NFL-ready Ds in college. Had some of the most experience, and his tool bag wasn't huge, but he got shit done, and he was figuring it out situationally. And the rotation's great for these guys, but you don't get rotated in if you're not producing. So hopefully all the good that comes along with Vaughn being here and all the other guys is just as helpful for AJ, instead of like hindering his opportunity and hindering how many chances he gets to see the field.
Yep. I'm with you, Swank. I think the Bills were smart this year in revamping that interior defensive line, because now we're going to see a consistency that we haven't seen. And if you can have two defensive interior linemen demanding double team blocks, then those defensive ends are going to have a heyday. They really are. And then again, you throw Von Miller in there as potentially the over/under outside linebacker or a rushing defensive end. I think potentially the best move for AJ Epinesa and Russo and Basham was defining that interior defensive line. I think that's an awesome thing that they did, and we're about to see that this year.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Patrick Hughes says Poyer is also putting money up, saying he bets that White comes back better than ever, and I hope he's right. Us too, man. I don't know. That's another thing with the Bills playing everything close to the vest. We're sitting here assuming that he's not going to come back until like October, optimistically. People have come back sooner. People have come back later. It's a hard one to come back from. I think Trey's one of those dudes that he's working right now. It's 8:58 and he's working. So hopefully, man, and those dudes know him better than anybody. So absolutely, I would bet that he cocomes back better than ever. So
I get goosebumps thinking about what this defense could potentially bring. With Poyer and Hyde back there at safety, with these defensive ends, I said it and I'll say it again. Russo was out of college a whole year. Then he had to learn an NFL scheme in his first year back from missing football in a year. He's going to be dynamic. Trust me. Von Miller there, 50 plus. You bring 50 plus sacks to this defense. You bring a Trey White and a Kyer Elam, who's amazing at man defense. The potential for number one defense of all time is there. It just, if the pieces come together, Trey White comes back early, man, oh man, it's a lot to be pumped up about.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Pump.
Well, guys, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for bringing all that stuff up, Scott. This was a great episode brought to you by Scott Reed. We're actually we're taking a little break. All of us are going to be on vacation next week. So there won't be any show next week, but thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out. And Scott, what do you got for closing thoughts and good nights here?
I wanted to pull a Jarrod plug here. Jarrod wanted to push the whole Hall of Fame voting. 49 people vote for Hall of Famers every year. And, the Steve Tasker's an obvious 7-time All-Pro. The guy needs to be there. Yes, you can do the Devin Hesters and all these guys, but this guy made a name for himself early and consistently, and there was no one else like him. There was no one else like him, to the point where Marv Levy, Jim Kelly wanted him to be a starting wide receiver, and Marv Levy said, no, he's our special teamer. The guy was talented, and he deserves it. But Kent Hall and some of these offensive linemen that led that K-gun that helped Thurman Thomas reach the multiple 1,000-yard seasons that he did, that helped Jim Kelly reach those multiple 3,000-yard passing seasons. It was a time where no one had ever seen this kind of offense, and these guys manned it, called the audibles, called the plays on the fly consistently, and none of them are even considered. So Steve Tasker a must. Kent Hall definitely needs to get in there for sure, and we'll start there.
I like it. I'm going to use my final thought right here to go out to our boy Daniel. He says, I have my oldest watching with me, and she's bugging me to ask, what would you guys prefer if you had the choice and skill set? Player, coach, or GM? So this is like Marry, Kill. You know that game?
No. Oh, yeah. Marry one, kill one, and
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Do something.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah.
This one's easy for me.
Do it.
GM. Everything trickles down. So you get the best GM, he'll get the best coach for you, and those two combined will bring in the best players.
Just like the Bills did. No, they didn't.
They didn't. They brought McDermott in first. Yep.
So I think I'd sit here and I'll pull a Jarrod and say you should have put owner on there, man. You know.
You could, but the Pagulas don't really have a great history of with hockey with ownership.
Hockey, but now the hockey team's turning around.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll be contenders this year. That would be sweet. I mean, and also like, I don't think they were hockey people. I don't think they were football people either. They're billionaires, and they're like, hey, we're gonna find some people to help us do this.
But Swank, someone like Brandon Bean, he came from a scouting background, so he's not just someone that understands the money part, but he understands developing players, looking at these certain schools for certain kind of talent. Like you go to SEC, ACC, who's got the best defenses? Let's pull some people from there, and yada yada yada. And he knows how to do the small stuff. Yeah. I work as a nurse as a profession, and I've always told people those nurses that actually started as a tech, made their way up to LPN and became an RN. Those a lot of times are the best nurses because they've started at the bottom, made their way to the top. The same goes to a lot of careers. If you understand every part of the game, and then you're now at the top, you have that feeling for that part of the game, and you could develop players, develop coaches to whatever you want, and you have that background in it. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, man, I agree 100%. I think like the best bosses know how to do everybody's job that they supervise, right?
Right.
At least it's to some respect. So if I know what you're supposed to be doing, then I can successfully help you be better at what you're doing, because I know what it takes to do that. If you just come in and you're like, you know, like it doesn't hold any weight.
Right.
So yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I guess my answer would probably be GM too, because we know a good one can make or break it. You look at these hybrid things though, like a Bill Belichick, man. I think he's losing it. Like maybe he's losing a little both, or maybe that's just telling of like where he's at personally in his life, like age-wise or whatever. But I think his GM skills are slowly failing him, and his coaching skills are failing him, you know. And those are definitely interconnected, and it's the same dude. I think, you know, relating it back to music, like I record all of our songs, and I mix them, but I don't master them. I send them out to get mastered, and it's so that you can get somebody else's ear on it, and they can hear something that maybe you didn't hear, or they can put a spin on it that maybe you didn't know was there, because you'll default back to what you know, right, over and over again. So, yeah, good.
Swank, here's an example. Detroit Lions had the best running back, arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL. Detroit Lions had one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. The guy just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions had arguably one of the best Calvin Johnson wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
You can have the best players in the world. If you don't have the coach or the GM, you're not going to go anywhere.
So that was the owners, though, right?
Yep.
John, hey guys, going in for surgery next Tuesday. He'll be back for the next show, though. Hey man, good luck. We'll be thinking of you. Hope everything goes well. Let's see.
So, you want to tell people about the Rager?
Yeah, man. So September 3rd, Reinvention Brewing Company right here in Manchester, New York. Mm-hmm. We're doing the second annual regular season Rager. It's just a Rager. This thing's building up to be a big old good time. So you're going to have all sorts of super fans there. Buffalo Spartan, Lady Bills, Bills Jason, Bills Dad, Bills Kid, Bills Mando, tons.
Bills Wonder Woman?
Bills Wonder Woman. So many people. They're doing that. They're taking pictures. They're signing autographs. They're giving out high fives. Reinvention is releasing their Super Fanatic Cream Ale special for that day. we're doing a live show. You can get on the show, can hang out. Half the proceeds are going to the Help One Foundation for Mr. Mark Maddox via Shout for a Cause from the Superfans charity of charities. The Endless Mountain Derelicts are playing a set to end out the night. Get all wild and crazy. There's cornhole. We're going to have T-shirts,
raffles, 50/50.
giveaways, signed, Stefan Diggs jersey from our compliments of our friend Mr. Paul Rossi. Marv Levy Hall of Fame inscription signed jersey.
Zach Moss jersey, and Tremaine Edmonds. And we'll stop there for a second.
Yeah, for right now. We're still working out the details. Oh, I said Bills kid, Buffalo Spartan. You better check your notes. We're still working on a very special guest who's actually been talking about accommodations and whatnot. So we're not going to say for sure he's coming, but there's a possibility that Mr. Mark Maddox is coming to the Rager, so you can meet him if he came. Ryan Thomas, good get, Jarrod Reed. Ryan Thomas is also going to be hanging out, and he'll be co-hosting or on the panel for the K-Gun Report when we do the live show. It's just going to be a killer, crazy, let's get stoked for this game, fun time, man. And we'd love to see all of your shining, beautiful faces.
There you go.
And also, you can catch us every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter for the K-Gun Report, featuring me and Scooter and sometimes Jarrod.
But you won't see us next week.
You won't see us next week, but the week after we'll have some awesome, crazy show for you guys. Spartan says I better get my chugging boots on. Yeah, dude, we're going to be chugging some cream ales. Don't worry about that. Patrick says this is the bye week for the show next week. It's a good get. I like that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Go get it, Scooter.
Good show there, Swank. Go Bills!
Go Bills!
This is a dangerous group.